Hello, mathematicians. Hope you're doing great today. Good to be back with you watching a video. We've been talking about subtraction, which means taking away or finding the difference. And on our last video, we talked about two different strategies that you could use. You could use a number line where you count forward, or we also talked about breaking it apart or decomposing one of those numbers. So we're going to look at this problem today. We have 424 minus 289 equals the unknown. We don't know yet, okay? And so I want to first think about estimating. So before we even start this problem, let's think a minute about maybe rounding one or maybe even both of these numbers, so that it will make it a little bit easier for us to get a reasonable estimate of what the answer might be. So let's say that we were going to round both of these numbers. That might be a good way to start the problem before you actually work it out. Okay, I do that sometimes when I go to the grocery store. If I know that I have, I don't know, $10 in my pocket and the cost of the item is $3.89, notice I said and because there's a decimal point, then I would round that up to $4 because that's what it's closer to. So that's just making an estimate, all right? So I would estimate both of these numbers, the 424 and the 289, so I could kind of get a good answer of what the real answer was going to be close to. So I would say 424 is closer to 400 and 289 is closer to 300. Now that's another strategy that you can use when working out any problem before you get the real answer. And that way you'll know if your real answer is on track, okay? So if I say 400 minus 300, that gives me 100. So that lets me know that my real answer is going to be close to 100. So let's see. Let's see if Mrs. Elliott's estimation was right, okay? All right, so one way we talked about the other day was breaking one of the numbers apart. Not both, just one. And we said that we kept the bigger number the same, but we would break apart the smaller number. So the bigger number is 424, and the smaller number is 289. So that's going to be the number we break apart. So I'm going to show you breaking apart again, but writing it differently, okay? All right, so we're going to start with 424. We're going to break apart these numbers. So let's first get the value of each of these numbers. Remember the value, what it's worth. So I'm going to bring the 2 down. Remember the trick I showed you? And how many zeros am I going to put behind it? Well, there's 1, 2 places, so there must be 2 zeros. So the value of the 2 is really 200. And then I'm going to do the value of the 8. So I'm going to bring the 8 down. How many places are behind the 8? 1. So that means I'm going to bring down 1 zero. So the value of the 8 is really 80. And then I'm going to come to the 9 and bring it down. But are there any places right here behind it? No. So do I have to add a 0? No. So the 9 is really worth just 9. So that's going to help me when I break apart that number, okay? All right, so I'm going to say 424 minus 200. Now the other day when I wrote that, I did it out sideways. And this time I'm going to do it a little differently, okay? So 424 minus 200 is 224. Now when I give you that pause like that, guys, that's because I'm hoping that while you're watching these videos at home or wherever you are, you'll say out the answer out loud. And I give you that wait time so that you can check to see if you had the right answer. Okay? So we've subtracted the 200. Now we have to subtract the 80. Here we go. So I'm going to say 224 minus 80. And I got to think really hard about that one. I got to think really, really hard about that. What does that equal? I'll give you a moment to think about. 224 minus 80. If you said 144, then you are correct. Give you a silent firecracker. Good job. Now I've done the 80. I still have to do the 9. Okay? So now I'm going to say 144 minus 9. There goes that trick that we learned a while ago on the other video where we could say 144 minus 10 gives us 134, but then I have to add back in that 1, which would be 135. And so 424 minus 289 is really 135. Now that's one strategy we talked about the other day with breaking it apart. We also talked about using the number line. But when we talked about the number line the other day, we talked about counting forward. Today we're going to look at a number line counting backwards. All right, so here we go. Let's get our number line. All right, and we are going to start with our bigger number of 424. Okay, that's where we're starting. And we are going to subtract 289. We're going to break it apart just like we did, but now we're going to do it on the number line. Okay, so we're going to say 424. Notice my arrows go backwards. Minus 200. We did that a while ago, guys. What does that equal? 224. Okay. Then we're going to subtract the 80. What is 224 minus 80? 144. And then we have to subtract the 9. And we saw that that equals 135, which is the answer. Now, where do we see the 289 in this problem? I see the 200 and the 80 and the 9. Okay? All right. So those are just some different ways that we can work out this problem. We talked about estimating the solutions. That was first. We said 400 minus 300, and that equaled 100, and that was just an estimate. That was not the real answer, just an estimate. So is our real answer close to what our estimate answer was? Yes. So see how useful this strategy is, making a good estimate before you even get started, so that way you have some sort of idea of what the range is for what your answer is going to be. All right, well, that is all for now. But our next video, we're going to be getting into the big nitty-gritty, the traditional way. So I can't wait to see you next time. But until then, bye for now.